Listen right now, because what is it?
Hey.
So what? They used to put medicine. They put medicine in it. Like how? And stick it where? Do they put it in your mouth? How does it work?
Yes. Oh my God.
So
it's important we have this conversation.
You actually doesn't know
what Bentoa
is,
okay.
What it's used for, and I don't think she's seen one before.
Mirabel, please fetch the hayase kubenya bi.
On Toby, right?
Toby brad.
Yen donate to
her.
If you want Bentoa, we are donating Bentoa. We are doing charity.
We are doing charity work, Bob Street. Wow. Good afternoon to all our listeners, and it's good to be in the studio again. Ghana month. So, we're doing the Ghana twist to healthcare. Last week, we did the chewing stick.
Yes.
Right. Oral health. And we saw how good and how wise our ancestors were in using sukudua and abrofunkatidua and all those things.
Yes.
And coming today, this morning, I actually saw somebody in traffic.
Easy.
Rolled up, air-conditioned car, doing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sure he listened to the show last week. So this week, we're doing the Bentoa Diaries. So
if you're listening in and you have any story to share about Bentoa, please share with us.
Yeah. If you
oh, they do, eh?
Oh, there are plenty initiated people.
Yeah.
And you that Kwame in the 1950s. We are born before computer.
Oh yeah.
Gen whatever, Gen Y, Gen Z. So my ancestors. Yeah, because for them it was pretty standard. So please call and share your experiences with us. We want to know. Quite we are interested in the technique.
You're interested in the technique.
I didn't know you almost say you should jog around a bit, run around,
so that the bottle will shake. Shake well before use.
Oh dear. Well, at the end of every show, you usually have a song for me. That usually goes with. Today I'm going to challenge you.
Oh, to find a song for you. No, today at the end of today's own, I'm not going to play. I'm going to sing it. Today's old, when you are done, I will sing it.
You will sing well.
Oh yes, I have a song for you. Don't worry.
Right. So Kwame, first off, what is an enema? All right. So that's the technical term that we use for it. It's an enema. An enema is a procedure that involves introducing liquids into a part of the intestine we would call the rectum and then the colon. All right. The rectum technically is a part of the colon, the large intestine. All right. So if you take the gastrointestinal tract, you have the esophagus, then you've got the stomach, which then opens into the small intestines, which then joins the large intestine. And then we have a place where we have, which is the storehouse of fecal matter, which is the rectum. And then when you fill it up to a certain point, and based on your bowel habit, then you get the edge, and then you move your bowels or you empty the rectum. So the procedure of introducing liquids into the rectum and the colon, which is the large intestine, via the anus. All right. So the young lady said, "What?
Where do you put it?
Where do you put it? Via the anus."
Right.
So you stick it up your butthole, as the Americans like to say it, and then you introduce the fluid into the rectum and then the colon. The main idea most of the time is to stimulate bowel movements, emptying of the contents of the rectum. However, there are other reasons why we do it.
Okay.
Not the punishment.
Because I'm surprised where you're going. That's number one.
Wasn't
it punishment? Aswanding, then they bring Bentoa, then they say you.
Come on, man. Now
because I thought that is it. Number one is punishment.
Number one is
You go and play football. You won't come and pound.
You can pound
the fufu
for your father to eat.
Come no, daddy.
Yes, sir. We are wait. We are fufu. That's where we do yourself. Right. So the primary reason is to stimulate bowel movement, to relieve people of constipation. Now I'll talk a bit more about that. Kwame, in the hospital too, sometimes we use it for administration of medicines to treat particular ailments.
Okay.
We also use the enema technique when we want to perform certain investigations to help us diagnose patients with particular conditions. So what we call radiological investigations, some type of x-ray techniques. We will instill a dye into your rectum and then take an x-ray subsequent to that. So these are the three main reasons why an enema would be done. So Kwame, if you look behind me, there is a picture of, those who are on Facebook and watching, you can see the bulb syringe.
Yeah.
So the enema kit comes in different forms. What you have in your home, you listening to me, is what we will call the bulb syringe.
Okay.
All right. So it's a syringe, like the way nurses or hospitals we have syringes capped with a needle. This one can absorb the fluid into its bulb, and then it has a nozzle, and then that is what is inserted into the anus, and then you squeeze it, you pump it, and then you introduce its contents into the rectum.
I don't want you to finish this without giving praise to Vaseline.
Or petroleum jelly. Vaseline.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, Kwabi, you are. It looks like you are an expert in the. And then in receiving it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the kakrafa Bentoa na no. Yeah, the kakrafa for ho.
Allah.
To facilitate movements.
To reduce friction. It was I'll call your right. So Kwabi, let's look at the indications for use into much more detail. The first thing is always the constipation, relief of constipation. So the primary job of your intestine is to move things along, all right, at its own pace, enough so that you absorb the nutrients of whatever it is that we ate earlier into the stomach. The stomach would digest it or grind it to a point, but then the small bowel would do primarily absorption of nutrients.
Okay.
And it does that at different parts. So it will have to move food along it whilst it digests it.
Okay.
But imagine if it didn't do that. Food will be stuck. And how are we then going to grow? All right, because if food is stuck, you can't eat again. So its job is to move it, and it's got its own time. We don't control the muscles of the intestines. It's not under our deliberate control, like the muscles of my hand, my legs. Then I can decide to move them. These ones, they have their own control mechanisms. They are not under our direct control. So it moves it along. And then when it gets into the large intestine, then there it does mainly regulation of the water content. And then the stools then become, at that time the food, it's no longer food, but we'll call them fecal matter, or it becomes stools. Then the consistency of it, whether it will become what we know as normal stools, whether it becomes very hard, depends on the amount of water that is taken out by the large intestine. Unfortunately, as we grow, or sometimes because of certain disease conditions, or sometimes because of our dietary habits, the intestine's ability to move content along it changes. And therefore, people can develop constipation as a result. I have a patient who has developed Parkinson's disease, for example, and this person, one of the complications they develop as a result of the disease is constipation. The muscles of the bowel doesn't work that well, so the food or fecal matter gets stuck, or it moves very slowly. Kwame, the content of the intestine is not just food or fecal matter, but we also have a lot of gas, all right, in the gastrointestinal tract. And therefore, you also have to move the gas along. So Kwame, sometimes you hear all this noise going on in your tummy. Okay, we call it boborygmy, all right? And
You call
it's
it what? You call it what?
boborygmus for one, and then boborygmi or rygmi for the plural. It's a lot of noise.
Is it because it sounds like bobobo?
Right, so that's gas, a lot of gas moving along as well. So unfortunately, when people get constipated, they're not moving a lot of gas, and then they're also not moving the food and the fecal matter along. And this is why you need the enema sometimes. So the enema is usually a last ditch effort, to get things out. People will try using some laxative, which they will take. People will change their dietary habits as well. And if all of that fails, then a lot of people will find the enema a very relieving solution to get things to move along. So that's one of the commonest reasons why people do that. Kwame, as we grow older, just by the fact of growing older, our intestines, just like our eyes, won't function 100%. And therefore, you would find this enema or bulb strange, the Bentoa, in a lot of bathrooms for people who belong to a certain generation.
Right.
Almost a constant. Young people don't need to bother about it, or most young people won't bother about it. So I'm not surprised that our Gen Z friend doesn't know anything about it. But as they say, Obenyi Ababetso. Right. The next reason usually is what we call preoperative preparation. Sometimes when we are preparing patients to have bowel surgery, for example, and as I mentioned, the large intestine, by the time the food gets to the large intestine, it's now fecal matter. It contains a lot of bacteria, all right, as well. And therefore, if you're going to have bowel surgery, you want to minimize the risk of postoperative infections, all right? And therefore, sometimes we do a bowel cleanse, a bowel preparation. So if you come to the hospital and then Dr. Fono comes from Mumbai and so I surgery, please, there's a good reason, or there's good reason, it will be explained to you why they need to do that. There's also something we call a colonoscopy procedure, where this is a visualization of the large bowel, and we visualize it from down there. So we're going to pass a fiber optic cable, camera at the tip, through the anus, into the rectum, going up the sigmoid colon, the descending colon, the transverse colon, and then the ascending colon. So that's quite a distance we're going to travel, and we're doing a visualization. So because we don't want to encounter, it's a diagnostic procedure. We want to know what exactly is wrong with the patient. So when patients come with us and they complain about changes in bowel habits, constipation, abdominal cramps, they've seen blood in their stools, a doctor may request a colonoscopy. But sometimes we don't want to visualize the entire colon, but we just want to visualize the lower segment, the rectum, and then maybe the sigmoid. So because we don't want to go all the way up, we won't give you something to drink to cleanse the whole thing. So we would give you an enema. That type of visualization, which I would call it has a very big word for it, a proctosigmoidoscopy, meaning we want to just look at the lower part of the large intestine. So again, an enema is very, very useful in that instance. Then we also do, sometimes you're doing an imaging technique. When we say imaging, it's an investigative procedure where a picture is taken and then we look at the picture and then we make interpretations from the picture. So an X-ray is a very common imaging technique. An ultrasound scan is a very common imaging technique. But there's a type of X-ray technique which we call a barium enema. A barium enema. So here, it's a form of contrast, all right, that is instilled in your rectum, and then X-rays are taken subsequent to the installation, and we are able to then make very important diagnosis as a result. Then lastly, sometimes people have certain medical conditions, and the only way the medicines that we give them targeted at the large intestine. So there's a condition, for example, called ulcerative colitis, and that will be the reason why the medicines can only be given by using an enema.
Okay.
Right. So the Bentoa is very, very useful, and it is used in hospitals. The nurses are very, very familiar with using the Bentoa. It is something that they are taught how to do.
You can, if you have any question, you can send us a message on 055-111-1997 or call us 0302216541. But doesn't it have any complications or risks?
Right. So Kwame, before we get to that, it does. But before we get to that, how does the whole thing work? The idea, because the content of the enema fluid, the liquid you are instilling in there, that's where all the problems come, or most of the problems. It's very, very important. So we've been using it as punishment. So Kwame, what do they use sometimes when they want to use the enema as punishment?
Oh, they do some leaves. They add some ginger, add prekese,
pepper. Oh, Kwame, that one they smooth. I know they have but the punishment one, they want to use something that irritates the place. All right, burns. It burns. Kwame, you see something when you eat some real shit all with like hot pepper and you move your bowels 24 hours later, even you feel that the pepper is there. Yeah. Imagine the pepper is directly being instilled there.
Oh my God.
So although it will irritate the bowel and get it to, it causes a lot of pain, it causes a lot of trauma. So what you are instilling is always very, very important.
They also use soap sometimes, eh?
Right. So mild soap, bathing soap,
key soap.
All right. It may work, but we say soap that's used for clothing sometimes it's a bit harsh to the body. But I know that on our hands it can still be gentle. It's okay. But I'll just say bathing soap, for example. So the whole technique is that Kwame, we want, when you instill the liquid in the rectum, it produces volume and it stretches the rectum. And the rectum has got nerves, it's got sensors in there. So once you stretch it, then you get the urge to poop. So that's the whole idea.
Oh, okay.
We want to fill it up so that it stretches the sensors in there and it sends signals, and then of course it wants you to poop.
So it's more about volume than even content.
Exactly. Because the content, if it irritates, it's an irritant, then you may cause damage to the lining, which is not something that we want. But then also sometimes the content is such that, I mean, you remember osmosis. National Science and Math Quiz, so there's osmosis,
movement from
water, yes, from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. So we make the solution concentrated a bit, and then when we instill it, then it draws water into the bowel, and then it causes you to move your bowels. You get this very watery thing. So if the feces are stuck there, they're hard. We put that solution in there. It draws water into it, and then in a way, it sort of like dissolves it, makes it very watery, and then you're able to move it. So the content matters in that sense. But I would strongly discourage anything that's an irritant.
Okay.
All right, that irritates the bowel, because then it will damage some of the cells in that region for over a long period of time. And then you are starting a certain dangerous process that we don't want.
Okay. I mean, when we were much younger, there were different sizes of the Bentoa.
Exactly.
There was one for the children, which was fairly smaller.
Small.
The adults had some medium one. Our grandmothers owed the next one. That's a polytank. Okay. Let's see who's here. Somebody's on the line now.
Right.
Hello? Yeah, hi.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, Lexis, I'm standing on the line for long.
Then sit down, my guy.
So right now I'm sitting down.
Okay, good. What's your name?
Kwame.
All right, Kwame, let's hear you.
We thank God for this program. In fact, it is even much more than what the doctor is even saying. Yes, it is even much more than that. Okay, young country and the young country.
Yeah,
Lexis, even I think ending of last month, Yana, oh, my whole body, I was not feeling all that well. It's not that I'm sick or something, but utu say with the what I say. Now, I say Niama being kuyi was system nini you know. We decided say mesa. Now, whoa, mesa sa and Katiana, I spread it tariff from wrong. Nubi, uti me. Enubi na me fa esuusa efumusa garlic ginger me boxing in ya na me blend it on and ho fefe Charlie na me yewie no you could see said body in ya eso see. Then after that you know I was jumping all over jumping rolling and making sure that it will go to every corner of the body. I know easy. And then after that Lexis, this is a real medicine. And when Ghanaians start doing this, we will not be buying all those nonsense medicines in town. And I want to mean for here and that. And I say, look, all that thing will be a thing of the past. You could remember when my memo say, I almost said, Bema Ijina food ding everywhere. I'm telling you. And when I think look, my manhood was like hard.
Sir?
I'm telling you, every part, look, my whole body from the head to the toe, I am strong, very, very strong. And then we go and take medicines and this kind of thing. This is a real number one medicine that I'm saying this Ghana man thing, look, let all Ghanaians start doing this. And you see, you come, then you open the phone line. People will come and give testimonies about what I'm talking about.
Okay. No, that's one. Thanks for sharing.
This is the real thing that we ought to be doing all the time. We will not be buying nonsense medicine in town.
Okay. You let all the men do it this evening. You see that all the listeners of Drive Time in their homes. Oh, better pee. Yes. And sale of Bentoa will go up. Revenue.
So I just want us to know that there's good reason for it, and so long as what you are using, to as the enema fluid is safe, most of the time, Kwame, the cleanse is very good. That cleansing mechanism is very good. When you are bloated, you have got a lot of gas in there. It just affects even your performance the whole day, your ability to work and work well. All of that is affected. So, Kwame, there's a very interesting thing too about the how to do it. You have to adopt a certain position.
Really? When we're younger, our mother will put us on the lap.
We open you. Who put you on the lap?
Our wives.
Oh dear. Well, yeah, we can see tissue.
Now we say that. Guess that page out to say page out to say
oh dear. Well, so we've got the correct posturing, for it. So you can lie on your side.
Okay.
On your non-dominant side. So because your dominant hand has to be free, to be able to hold the bulb. As you rightly pointed.
You don't have to do it yourself. This one that you are saying position.
All right.
Just like that, let your wife or your husband do it for you. Let your husband do it. Turn around and let it. If it's other things that they'll be putting it inside.
Because the guy said, you know, at the end
let your husband or your wife do it for you.
So Dr. Lexis is advising for us not to discuss the position. Let your wife do it for you.
Yes, it's bonding time. You bond with your body.
Hey, Corey. This Ghana man. All right. So, are there complications to doing this thing? Yes. And therefore, these are my cautionary notes. Pain or discomfort. So, the size matters. Kwame, ubususu Bentoa no. Oya akola egofa panyin Bentoa. Pacho. It comes in sizes. Everything comes in sizes. So choose the right Bentoa. You have to use fluid that is not too hot or too cold. That's number one. Then number two, there is also the risk of puncturing the intestine. It's a real risk. So that's why we encourage you to apply the Vaseline, the petroleum jelly, KY gel, anything, a lubricant. You apply it to the nozzle and then you insert it so that you avoid or you reduce friction. There's also the risk of infection you are introducing, so you make sure that the solution, the cleansed solution that you are going to use, properly prepared so that you don't risk introducing infection. Make sure the Bentoa is kept in a clean place all the time as well. There's something we call electrolyte imbalance. All right. There's a particular enema. We call it the phosphate enema. It's very, very popular. It's probably the one that people commonly use. If you use it all the time, you stand a great risk. So don't use that particular one all the time. If in doubt, just do soapy water. All right. Or just water. Maniya the and then use it. Kwame, that's the Bentoa story.
Oh man, what an episode. I mean, thank you so much. I mean, I think something that we'll probably get back to doing. Yeah. It's good. It's really, really good. So I'm happy we got to share it. We've been talking about indigenous knowledge. One of the things that our families used to do back in the day that maybe a lot of our modern practices have probably shelved.
Yeah.
But I think that it's really good. So I'm grateful.
Yeah.
For those who want to reach out to you, how do they do that?
All right. So the number is 0501 477 340. That's the same number on WhatsApp as well. Facebook, Medicas Hospital, and then X at Medicas GH.
There you go. I told you I was going to sing a song, and this one, it, so help me.
Oh, let just have a go choir.
Amayare fever, yambako, and put it in the Bentoa. Finito. And unte that. How come you know?
When there is a studio, now go trap power.
One thing you weigh that. This was an anthem in schools. It was an anthem. When people were reciting rhymes, doing, Peter Papa picked a peck of pickled pepper. Amayare fever, Yamako,
local authority.
I tell you, morning session. Amayare fever, Yamako.
I think you wouldn't say fever.
And put it in the bed to finish it. And jump. And prrrr.
A poppy shit, a poppy rapper. Easy, baby.